Hey, this is Chad with BeGoneForGood. Thank you very much for tuning in for the third part of our three-part series about the Mosko Moto Nomad tank bag. If you haven't seen the first two videos, it's not generally important, but there are different aspects that we're hitting with each one. The first one was the unboxing video, so you can see everything that should be coming with your bag, all the parts, the accessories, everything that should be in that box. The second video is a complete walk around through every zipper, pocket, clip that you're going to find on your bag, just so you can kind of get a good look at what you'll be purchasing. This third video is everything that I keep in my bag and why and where. So you can get a handle on how you should be packing, what you can be packing, and the best ways to utilize the layered system, which is unusual for a lot of tank bags out here. Normally you get one big deep well for the whole thing, and this has a layered, tiered 3 system. So you have to make a little bit of priority decisions about where you want stuff, because it's not all just in a big toy chest in there. I'm a big fan of this bag. I'll get that out of the way right now. I'm a total fanboy when it comes to Mosko gear. It is extremely rugged, extremely well made, and I am very, very happy with my purchase. If you have any questions for me that I don't get to during the course of this video, please let me know. I'll be happy to tell you anything that I know about this bag, or get you in touch with the folks that might be able to help out even further. If you are interested in seeing more videos like this, also please let me know. I've got a bunch of stuff on the bike that I'm looking to get to, a bunch of gear that I would like to review as well. And if you would like to see more, also please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and we'll make sure to get everything out to you as best we can. These are the items that I routinely keep in my tank bag for standard trips. There's nothing that would really be different significantly as far as a long range trip. All of this would still go with me. I may make subtle changes as far as extra things that I would bring with, and I'll run through right now what each item is and where I would put it in the bag to most capitalize on the capabilities of the layering of the Mosko Moto. First off, what I would like to do is say that obviously none of this is set in stone. You can change any of this at any time. Everybody's had a tank bag before. That's not like a revelation. But the positive with this bag as opposed to a lot of others is that without having the single deep well that a lot of other tank bags have, there is a lot of difference between putting this in the first layer, second layer, or third layer, depending on what you're looking for. Ease of access, size, even weight can be a factor in there. So there is a lot of opportunity to really customize your specific rig for the trip you're on, or even for your own specifications. So there is a lot of variability in there. What I'll go through initially, just because I think it's probably the easiest portion, is these two items right here. I do keep the owner's manual with me, just because I'm a new rider. A lot of times I don't know what I should be doing or could be doing. Even sometimes if I get off to a spot where I need to do a little bit of extra reading, sometimes I'll just thumb through this to try and familiarize myself with the bike, because it is a new bike for me as well. In here, I have all my information as far as my registration, my insurance. I have a copy of my license, a copy of my passport. When I was doing my travels through Honduras, this is also where I would have kept any sort of visa information, customs information, all that sort of stuff was in here, so that I could make sure that everything that I needed, if I got pulled over or made a stop at a border, was all in one place, easy for me to get. So I take these two items, and inside the bag, all the way in that third pocket that we had talked about, there's a great area, I think, for these type of items, right here inside the flap. You see this huge zipper and this big pocket? I take everything and put it right in there. It's far enough away from my constant use items in the first two layers that I don't have to worry about kind of roughing this stuff up or flashing it out to anybody. If I'm traveling through another country, I don't want to obviously have my title right there on display for everybody. So it's hidden away enough in the deep well that I don't have to really worry about it, but it's also extremely easy for me to access if I do need it in a pinch or rather quickly. So that's where I put that item. Since we're in the deep well already, I'll kind of move on to some of the other items that I would throw in there. This is just kind of a do everything YouTube, or excuse me, not YouTube mount, GoPro mount. So you can stick it to the side of the bike if you need to. You can use it as a tripod if you're shooting a static shot. Just really kind of a go anywhere, do anything. It's got the Ram ball mount on there, so if I need to take this off and use this on my handlebars, I can do that as well. And it fits really, really nicely in here with kind of a no muss, no fuss type of system. So I leave that in there just in case I need it for anything else. If I were making a longer trip or something that I had to pack a little bit more aggressively with, this is a pretty bulky item, so I might move it to somewhere else or not bring it all together and just kind of figure it out on the path as a different way I could do it. In this big pack, this is where I keep my garage door opener. These little shotgun loops that we talked about, I like to throw it right in there. The buttons are facing outboard, so it makes it real easy for me just to zip right here, push a finger in there and hit it. It's also hidden away enough that I don't think that it's something that people are readily seeing visible on the bike. I leave the bag on the bike pretty often, so I want to make sure that people aren't just grabbing things out of there at their leisure. This is one of those items that I think is pretty easy to keep in there and not have a big issue with. Also in the big pocket, I know this is going to sound crazy, but inside my helmet, a lot of moist air, a lot of breathing during the course of the day. I found these things to be lifesavers. I don't want to smell my own breath after 16 hours of eating gas station food and driving through hot weather. So I keep these in there just to make sure that I've always got kind of at least a little bit of fresh breath for my own good, because my nose and my mouth are dangerously close together and confined inside that helmet. So this is a lifesaver when you're making long trips. Sometimes, not all the time, I throw my sunglasses in here. I also have pockets on the back of the bike that I use sometimes for these. These go with me whenever I'm off the bike, so I don't have to worry about people trying to rip these off out of the bag. These don't stay with the bag, but it's a nice place to keep them when I'm on the move. So that's everything for the main pocket. As you can see, there's still a ton of room in here. If I took out the rainfly as well, that adds a whole extra amount of cubic inches in there that I could utilize as well. So that's my deep well. Going on to the second spot. This is a lot of the mesh pockets in here. I don't utilize these a lot. This is more of just, I think, for small items, and I don't carry a lot of small items. If I were making a longer trip, like Honduras or something along those lines, I might pack a lot more stuff in here. As you notice, and we talked about, the sunglass pocket is here. I have a semi-rigid case that I keep my glasses in the deep well, because I don't trust the soft felt pocket in here. So if you don't have expensive glasses or are willing to risk putting them in here, this is a great pocket for it. I'm just not that guy. I would prefer to have a rigid case, and it's also something that I don't have to unzip to get the glasses out and move. I can just grab the case and go with it. So just personal preference. I don't use that pocket all that often. As I told you, I have an Allen wrench that I keep in this pocket just because I want to make sure I've got it readily available for anything I'm checking on the bike. It fits in here, a little bit of finagling through these loops, make sure that it holds pretty solid. So I stick that in there. Once I'm sure that my crash bars aren't going to come loose and fall off, I'll probably take this out of here, because it is a bit of a useless item unless you do have to fix something like that. So not a huge deal, but that's where I keep it. I also have this pair of paracord in here, or this amount of paracord in here. I think it's 25 yards. This is a great item. I don't know how familiar you are with paracord, but this stuff can do a lot of different things. If you strip it down, it's a fire starter. You can tie things up with it. I use this as my clothing line to dry items when I get to the hotels or the camping sites. It's just a completely universal, 1,000 different uses. It's a great version of duct tape for for whatever you would use cord for. And you can look online if you go to other YouTube channels and see 1,001 uses for paracord too. So it's just a good item to have, and it takes up very little space. It's light, so I just jam that down kind of in the crevice of this pocket and call it a day. Another item I keep in here are my stickers for BeGoneForGood, which if anybody's interested, all you got to do is private message me. I will make sure to get one of these to you. I've got about 400 off a really easy order, and would be more than happy to give them out to anybody who's interested. So let me know. But I keep them inside this pocket up here. It's easy to access inside this flap, and it's also kind of away from everything else, so I'm not worried about that bag kind of fumbling around in there. So it's easy to get to, and also kind of stays dry and out of the way. The reason that I bag it up is on my trip to Honduras, I dumped the bike one time and soaked about 150 of them. So they were ruined. I will not make that mistake again. So I've got the Ziploc bag on there. That's about all I put in that second layer. So I'll move on to this outer layer. Now this is the one that doesn't actually close all the way. It's not like a zip close. It's got a Velcro close and the clips that come in here. So not maybe the most secure pocket, but also the most accessible. So you got to kind of put things in here that you think you're going to be using a lot. One of those is my tire gauge. So I keep that in there. There's these great pencil holders. Fits right in there very nicely. I am a big fan of that pocket for that reason, because it holds that. I have pens and pencils, or pens that I put in here, and I have little items. If I carry a GPS with me, I'll put that in here as well. If I carry the GPS, I also paracord it to this little clip, just so you know that that's another use for paracord. If you need to dummy cord anything, especially on the fly, it's really easy to rip off a 6-inch section and make that happen. So I don't really utilize this portion too much. If I was taking a longer trip again, there would be a lot more quick use items in here, probably change for tolls, dollars for tolls if I needed it, and any sort of probably quick paperwork, maybe even a copy of everything that I know that I'm going to need quickly in here, just so I can get it out and I have my permanent stuff deeper in the bag. So let me lock that up real quick. These little clips here are great to hold that top portion down. Really does a great job of cinching it down, and then they have retention straps here that you pull in, and a little elastic to go around to make sure they don't go anywhere. Now for my Motion Pro tool. This is something, most of my tools are on the bike and they're there permanently, hidden in various different places around the bike and strapped down and locked up. But I do like to have some tools that are kind of easily accessible, and this is one of them. Obviously, anytime I leave the bike for a prolonged amount of time, the bag goes with me, so I don't have to worry about somebody ripping this off. But it's also easy to have quicker access than having to pull everything off the bike and dig in and unlock stuff if you have a quick change that you need to make. So this I put down in the hydration pocket. Just goes right above that and just slides in there, and there you go. No problem. Hydration bottle is still there. When I fill this up, this doesn't impede it. Has no issue with that. So it's just a nice little stowaway area that I don't have to worry about anything from. I also take my padlock that I use for if I need to lock up the jacket on the bike or the helmet on the bike. I've got a great 6-foot piece of steel braided cable that I utilize to run through the arm of the jacket and through the helmet, and then I use this padlock to lock it all up. Again, I want to have that at least reasonably easy to access, so right here does the job for me. And then just close this up and everything's right there, no problem. This is pretty low on the bag also, because both of those are pretty heavy items, so I don't have to worry about it kind of shifting the bag back and forth on the bike as I ride. They're sitting low and close to me, so it's a great place to have them. In this pocket that we talked about, kind of the secret pocket in here, the reverse zipper, this is where I keep the other tool that I carry with me, the Leatherman. Again, nice easy item to have, doesn't cost you much, and can be utilized for a billion different things. Even if you're just cutting up apples while you're on the trail, they've got a great knife in there for that. So this is one I also want to have readily available, not necessarily locked in the toolbox on the Africa Twin. I don't know how much you know about the Africa Twin, but that toolbox is hidden away. It takes you 20 minutes to get in there. It's crazy. So this is a tool that I have easy access to. Put it right in this secret pocket. It seems like it's almost made for it. I talked to Pete Day over at Mosko Moto and asked him what his thought was behind this pocket, and they said they didn't really have one. They just made sure that they had a pocket there. It could be utilized for a billion different things. Everybody does something different. I'm calling it the Leatherman pocket because it fits it perfectly. So that's for that. Now, the last item that I have out here on the table is my electrical charging gear here. So I've got the cord that runs from the bike up and into the bag, and then I've got the actual charging device for this. Now, this is where that side little frame comes in, which is really, really great. If you look just underneath the hose, it appears to be like a seam in here. It's got a little blue accent inside, and if you take your cord and just push it into that hole, it goes all the way into the deep compartment. And it comes out right over here. So then you can pull that in. So now you've got the cord going to the outside of the bike and into the bag. Then I take my little charging device and throw that in there. Close up the deep well. Anything that I need to charge, I can just put in there. If it's my phone, my battery, my camera. And then the cord runs right out of the bag in that little divide there. This is an ingenious idea. The last bag that I had was a Wolfman Rainier, and I had to cut the bag at the bottom to run power into it, which didn't affect the waterproofness because it was on the bottom of the bag. Nothing was getting down there, but it was a little bit of a kick in the nuts to have to cut a brand new bag. This for Mosko, I'm so pleased. It wasn't something that I knew was there. Wasn't something I think they talk about too often, but I was really psyched to see that they had this capability in here. Because of the depth of the overlay, you don't have to worry about water seeping in or getting in here unless you submerge the bag. But it's deep enough to make sure that you don't get water in, but you can still pass through cords or tubes or anything that you need to get into that bag real quick. So that's everything I keep in my bag. If you have any other suggestions, things that I should be carrying, things that I've obviously missed, I'm a new rider again. I don't say that this is definitive or the last stuff that I will ever have on here, because clearly I can make a lot of improvements. So I'd love to hear anything that you carry on your bike. I'd love to hear anything that I should definitely be carrying on my bike or things I shouldn't be carrying. And if you have any other questions about the Mosko Nomad, this is the last in our series. I want to thank everybody for watching and paying attention. And if you have any other questions, things that I didn't cover, if you want closer pictures or videos of the Nomad, if you're thinking about buying, definitely let me know. I'm a big advocate of the Mosko stuff. Full disclosure, I don't get paid for this. Mosko has never given me anything other than a free sticker that they will give you too if you order anything. But I'm a huge fan of the way this company is doing things. They operate by the right model. Their customer service is fantastic. They are all riders, so you know that this gear is good because they're making it for themselves as well. And they are wildly responsive to any sort of feedback that you can give them. There's a lot of changes that they've made to this bag and other bags because of riders getting in touch and saying, hey, can you do this? Is this a change that's available? What about adding this item? This thing is burning. Is there something we can do about it? And they make those changes and they adjust accordingly, and they take care of their customers long term. And that's the type of company we should all be able to get behind. So again, thank you very much for listening to this video. There are 2 previous videos if you want to see a full walkthrough of all the pockets, bells and whistles of this, or the unboxing and what should initially be coming when you buy the Mosko Nomad. Any other questions or anything, please let me know, and thank you very much for watching.